we go, firstly, welcome back to pre-season and season 2022. Just talk us through how the boys have settled in following a month since returning to training.
Yeah, we had a good block of training. We had three and a half weeks prior to Christmas. Felt like the guys returned in the shape you'd sort of hope, and we were able to get some good gains up to Christmas. We're pretty strong on giving them a good break over that period. So it was a 3.5 week break for them after that block before training, and then I think we're 3 weeks into it post. So yeah, we're right in the guts of it. It's probably the hardest part for the players at this stage when you're early into February and you know that the practice matches aren't too far away and you've still got a little bit of hard work to do. But all in all, we've been pleased with the output, and yeah, we think the guys with a younger looking list have definitely benefited the ones who have been with us for 12 months of how to train and how to keep backing those sessions up.
Obviously, a couple of new faces since returning and signing on at Norwood in 2022. Just talk us through a couple of those names and how they're adjusting and settling into life at Norwood.
Yeah, well, it's always a challenging period for new players because it's daunting, it's the unknown, but fundamentally we acquired their services because we felt they were going to be a great value add to Norwood. So yeah, we're about to eventually, in some people's eyes, make some announcements. I think with having Cameron Tahini and Ben Jarvis return to Norwood, they're always good results of recruiting, and that people want to come back to the environment after a short stint in the AFL. The guys that we recruited from the SANFL, with Max Hodges from Adelaide, Pierce Seymour from the Eagles, Thomas Graham and Connor McLean from Centrals, and Tom Condon from Glenelg, have all been guys that understand what this level's about, and there's a bit to learn with how we go about it, but all in all have fitted in really well as people as much as trainers and performers. And we had two guys from Casey who I was lucky enough to coach in Victoria, and Corey Stockdale and Nick Loudon. Really good people and competitors from my time in past, those two boys. We tapped into our other breeding ground, other zoned area in Tassie. We got Bain and Lowe from Devonport, who's also played at North Launceston, where Jackson Callow's from, and Tom Donnelly, who's from North Launceston as well. So they're two guys who had the courage to move over, and another young boy, Ethan Warburton from Shepparton, who went to Caulfield Grammar and has been at boarding school, so he knows what it's like to be away from school, away from home, I should say. Those got three guys living together. One of the other ones we've brought on board is Lockie Charlton, who's had a previous life at Norwood, and Lockie's been playing for PAC the last 2 seasons and has been able to come in and not miss a session and really stand out with our training. So, and the other two boys who are actually housemates of mine at the moment, Patrick Nation, Jay Rantel. Patrick, former Richmond, terrific person, really good trainer, loves footy and has fit in very well socially with the guys. We got high hopes for him, and Jay Rantel, who's just got a 2-year stint at Collingwood from Warrnambool and former basketball, played basketball for Australia as a junior. He's an animal on the track. He's a real highly driven, competitive player, and high quality values as a person, and they've become very popular members of the group already. So that captures a few, which we know we had a lot of departures, but there's a few guys there that gives our people a bit of an understanding of the who and where they're from and how they're going.
Obviously, it's always good to talk about our new recruits, but it's also good to talk about those under 18s that are coming up through the system and developing well. Just talk us through a few names that have joined the senior corps for the start of 22. I believe Peter Mittavini, the 2021 best and fairest for the under 18s, has stepped in and doing a pretty good job in there. Yeah,
Pete Mittavini's a good fella. He played a couple of reserves games for us last year, and he caught all our attention because he was a good competitor and he was compliant with what we were after, and yeah, he's had a good strong summer. Pete just had his wisdom teeth taken out the other day, so he's a bit ginger. Matt Nostransky, who's a guy from Rostrevor and had some shoulder issues in the past, but has really flourished in our training throughout the summer, and he's really shown that he's got capability to play senior footy. So yeah, we're really pleased with his performance. Jaden Gale, who's from the EP, but also comes with a good reputation as a character from our under 18s and also from Rostrevor. So we've been really pleased with his capacity to come and fit in. And another young guy, Charlie Kemp, who's probably jumped up in some people's eyes. He's from Orange in New South Wales and didn't start till after Christmas with us, and was probably on a short probation to get a feel for if he's going to be able to perform at our level. But he's been excellent in his training and he's really growing. And so there's just 3 or 4 guys who've come up from our under 18s that we're pleased with their performance and their inclusion in our list so far.
Fantastic. Obviously, it's been a bit of a tricky period with all the COVID protocols and making sure that we're doing the right things and all that. But how's that been as a coaching group? How have you dealt with it so far? And is it frustrating, obviously, with players, potentially close contacts and all that, each weekend for every second day.
Yeah, it's interesting, Joe. We don't get frustrated by it because it's a society thing and we're out of control of that, and we're governed by rules that we don't have anything to do with at Norwood. I did find it interesting over Christmas that my phone pretty much daily was being updated with a close contact or a positive case. So it was quite a number of our people were affected over that Christmas period, and most of them come back. It was taken on 1 or 2 sessions before they felt back to close to normal and full fitness, and there's been some common symptoms that we've found with their return to train. So we're hyper vigilant with how we return our people into the program. Their health and safety is obviously the paramount concern. So we've had quite a number of people affected, but the show's gone on and we've been able to have a high percentage of our people still do a big block of the training, and if they have been affected, they're reintroduced at the right speed and tempo and volume, and then once they're ready to go, they come back in. So all in all, we think we've done a good job in how we've managed it, and we just keep at our people about the society demands on us with how we wear masks and how many people in a room and all the things that are required of us, that I think our people at Norwood have done a really good job in managing that so far.
Beautiful. Just a bit of an injury update. Obviously, a couple of fan favourites in Matty Panos and Lenny Pascoe. Obviously, Matty Panos coming back from that knee injury. Can you shed some light on their update and how they're tracking?
Yeah, sure. Panos was just starting to get to a point where when we were playing finals last year, he was starting to be involved in main training. So we always knew that he was probably going to be less likely last year, but ready to go this year. He did a really good block of training, and unfortunately sustained a slight hamstring injury just after Christmas, but he's running, he's just building up speed again, and he should be available for a portion of the practice match series, so he really has a full season ahead of him. And unfortunately, Lockie Pascoe, he had an accident down in the Eyre Peninsula just before we started training back, which set him back a little bit, and then upon return he had a slight knee issue which has been operated on, and it's going to be reasonably long-term return. So we're a bit unknown with Lockie when he does return, but he does have a great attitude, and hopefully the return to play and train is sooner rather than later, but we won't see him at the start of the season, unfortunately.
Yeah, we wish him all the best in his recovery. Just a little bit about the upcoming camp as well. We've got another camp, I believe, which we did pretty much similar to last year. Talk us through the camp and the ideas around it and what the boys hope to get out of it.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty passionate about camps over the course of pre-seasons. The shape and the look of them has varied over the years about what's appropriate and what the clear objectives are, and we're pretty clear on what we want out of our camp, and we'll do a 2-nighter in a couple of weeks, and we'll go down to Finnis, which is a facility we used last year, and we've had really good success. Our players enjoyed it. It was really well organised by our staff. So we want to go there again with slightly different activities, but the same objectives. And yeah, we want our players looking forward to it. And post that, they'll get a period of time off. They've had would have been a good 6-week block after Christmas up to that point. And then we'll return to play Sturt, and we'll play Sturt, West Adelaide and Adelaide each of the 3 Saturdays through March, and have a weekend off before we play. So the camp comes at a good time to basically put a full stop to the pre-season training, but also launch us into the practice match series.
Beautiful. And just the last couple of things. Obviously, Twig, we heard in the last couple of weeks that Luke Valente has, when we're playing for Fremantle this year, has ended his AFL days at the moment. Obviously it's a big thing when it holds close to heart here in Norwood because he's an ex-Norwood player. Obviously, have you spoken to him and how is he tracking or anything like that?
Yeah, I got a chance to meet with Luke pretty soon. We and I wanted to be sensitive to his situation. When you retire from the AFL, you don't do it lightly, especially if you haven't been able to play for a period of time, and also when you do it in January, there's going to be a lot of attention on him. So a lot of his mates play here. Those guys have been in touch with me and shared a fair bit about Luke, the quality of character, and everywhere I turn and talk to someone about Luke, there's pretty resounding affirmation of character and ability to play football, but unfortunately his body hasn't allowed him to be able to perform at AFL level. So I'm really keen just to meet him and just talk to him about himself and what his plans are moving towards this season and beyond. But I'm really keen to meet him and just find out where Luke sits with it all, and then we'll make some decisions from there if it's appropriate for us to progress and advance. But most of all, I think Luke, his welfare and what he wants out of day-to-day life and career path is number one, and then footy will come in second. But I think our people are going to be rest assured that there'll be contact and a meeting, but they'll be done professionally and at appropriate times.
And just lastly, Twig, obviously always have to put it in. Obviously we're approaching the 1,500 members for 2022. I mean, how big of a year is it just for just to come out and watch some footy? And obviously want to see our fans again. They were fantastic last year, and have been ever since day dot really. So how much do you encourage them to get on board and be part of a special journey, I guess?
Yeah, well, it's interesting when you're the supporter of a footy club about what it really means to you, and I think membership's a pretty good recognition of commitment to the club, and I think we do a lot for our members, and I think we'd like to be a footy club and a team that provides entertainment with how we go about our footy. But I can just guarantee our people that the way our players feel, and I can say myself and the coaches, when we're able to draw a big crowd at the parade, but even the way we travel, like when we play Glenelg and North Adelaide to Springmont, even South Adelaide, really good crowds there, and I think the more we can get our people attending games, being part of our game day experience, but making our players feel like how much support they got behind them, it does have a big bearing of how our players feel, and it does add to the weight of things on game day when the game's on the line, or when our players are achieving really good things, that our people really recognise that and get that nourishment and fulfilment from what our players do. So I'm a big fan of how much our supporters contribute with our Fortis Army from 2020 in particular, with our Fortis recognition game last year against the Crows, one of the great moments I've had in my footy time. So I'm big on the membership, I'm big on our people staying part of our club and being involved as much as possible. So we'd like to think we're going to present reasonable performance this year in 22. It'll take a while to come together with our new players and team chemistry and whatnot and the way we play, but I'd like to think we'll put a pretty good product out there.
Appreciate your time, thanks to you.
Good on you, Jay.